Your colleagues, I wonder if I could ask a few questions about heat pumps and associated technologies. We know that the target is way behind what we'd hoped for, and you've explained some of the reasons why there. And I think Gareth made a comment earlier that I think we managed 6,000 new heat pumps last year. I'm interested in what they are, whether they're conversions from people that have had gas to heat pumps, or whether they're new builds, or and so on. So I wonder if, Gareth, could you give us a flavour of just what that picture looks like for the moment?
Okay. Sorry, I'll bring you in. Thank you. The figures I've got here for heat pump annual installations are 2019, 2,448, 2020, 2,993, 2021, 4,667, 2022, 5,146, 2023, 6,388. So the importance of heat pumps towards the efforts that we're making to decarbonise and improve Scotland's housing stock are increasingly significant as the years go by.
But the quantity we were originally hoping for was 1 million conversions in 10 years. It's a huge transformation. It was roughly 100,000 a year. So we're nowhere near that.
My predecessor, Patrick Harvey, made clear that that particular target was not achievable, and I think it's as well that, and I would agree with Mr Harvey on this, it's as well that government comes to Parliament and presents targets that are achievable, and it's not honest to do anything else.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think the catalyst for the complete transformation actually is, Minister? For me, it seems to be the price. I mean, people in private sector housing are looking at the price of this. It's 4 times. Electricity is 4 times the price of gas. So they're essentially making a decision based on that. But are they also making the decision based on trust? Trusted partners, who can they trust on the systems that are being recommended to them? Where can they see these working? Where is the evidence that would enable people to make the transformation? So are those 2 factors crucial in your view to try to solve that, to get the transformation working at a better pace?
Well, on the first point about trust, I think I'm going to deal in anecdotes here, which ministers should never do, but I think it's very clear that from the newer generation of heat pumps in particular, there is much greater public trust, and increasing public trust in the technology as it develops. And I can see that, and I'm sure other members have seen that from people who have had heat pumps installed in their houses. I was recently visiting a house where, in my own constituency, where one had been visited, and a very discerning pensioner tenant who turned out to have been a plumber in his previous life offered a very high rating indeed. But I think the point about ensuring that people feel supported more generally, the Scottish Government has obviously got the HES grant and loan scheme, up to £7,500 grant to install a heat pump, and same amount in loan, plus a £1,500 uplift for remote, rural and island areas. So these are all tangible measures of support for people in that situation. And also, as I say, it's important to add that we can point to evidence that shows heat pumps are 3 times more efficient than oil boilers, for instance. So people can see the benefit.
And in terms of the great catalyst that will get this transformation turning substantially, is it price, or is it reliability and trustworthy? Is it both?
Well, I think all of those are important, as you mentioned. I mentioned how reliability and public approval of the technology has climbed, and people are more and more confident about it. I think it's also important to say, as I think I mentioned at the beginning, that no government can do this on its own. So government can provide the catalyst, it can provide support, it can provide grants, it can provide loans. What it cannot claim to do, and no government, I don't think anywhere in Europe would be claiming to do, would be to take on all responsibility for people replacing heating systems forevermore. What it can do, as I say, is provide encouragement and support, and make sure that the technology is advanced and out there, and the people who need it are helped. but I can bring in others just now if they want to add to that.
Do you see a role for the local authorities, Minister, in being able to step in here to be that established, trusted partner? Because I know from my constituents who ask me about this, they're not sure who to turn to get this transformation done in their home. Sometimes companies come and go, as you know. So there is an element there of risk that local people are saying to me they're unsure to take that step forward. Could the local authorities have a role here to play in being that long-established trusted partner to get involved in the heat, for example, the heat pump transformation programme that we hope for? And could they reach out to offer that service to the private sector residents, do you think?
I think local authorities do have a very important role, particularly they already do through things like the area-based schemes. And you point at an equally important issue. Well, sorry, I'll finish my point about local authorities or local companies, rather. I think people are very keen to have somebody locally they can go back to if things need fixed, a point of contact. And I suppose that brings us into probably some of the criticism that there has been in the past of the way the eco schemes have been operated in the past. These are not Scottish Government schemes. These are schemes that were funded at a UK level through industry. And I think you may be alluding to that, where there was significant criticism of some of the companies who were involved in installations under that scheme. But it's important that we maintain public confidence, that we try to make clear to the public that the Scottish Government's funded schemes are not the eco schemes, and that some of the well publicised problems that were associated with those schemes in the past are not the Scottish Government's area of activity.
Okay. In terms of other potential schemes, what are the alternatives for people to choose? I mean, are all their eggs in the heat pump basket, or are there other technologies that people can find out about and deploy and decide whether they're appropriate for their home?
Well, I'll bring in officials to try and give a comprehensive list, but obviously there are many other types of technology. Ground source heat pumps, for instance, although those will not be suitable for every single house. Some people are in a position to have solar or small-scale wind energy. But in the future, there's not going to be one single solution. Heat pumps will not be suitable for every house. And I've mentioned that, in my view, in the future, if we had rebalancing of gas and electricity prices, then we would be able to electrify houses in all sorts of other ways that are not perhaps cost-effective at the moment. But I'll bring in others. No doubt forgotten some forms of heating.
That is, I guess, there's a broad range of technologies that could be kind of picked up. I think the Minister's mentioned the wide array of electric heating. So I guess we're all familiar with storage heaters. They're much more advanced and sophisticated than the ones that we remember. So that's one option. I think heat networks, so district heat networks and communal heat networks, that's another option. I think we'll probably see much more of in our denser urban areas, but also in kind of the denser kind of rural towns and villages as well. They have potential in. So I think heat networks will play an increasing role. And obviously heat pumps and the bioenergy in some areas where that makes sense to continue to deploy bioenergy, where you need that slightly higher temperature to run the property. So I think there will be a spectrum of different heat technologies out there. I think we need to guide kind of consumers through that. Obviously, there's the National Advice Service, Home Energy Scotland, which provides that kind of free and impartial advice. That's digital, but also kind of over-the-phone advice as well. And as you say, local government can help guide, and the local heat and energy efficiency strategies help to start kind of do some of that initial planning from a local government perspective of what is the best technology for a given place based upon building characteristics, density, etc. And that can help guide individuals' decision-making as well at that more local and building level.
Okay. And lastly, from me, Alistair, the UK's clean heat market mechanism, could you just clarify, does that apply to Scotland as well? I think it's a requirement to balance the number of heat pump installations per gas installations at the moment to try and improve the transformational pace of change. So will that apply to us, and is that something you welcome?
Yes, yes, it's certainly welcome. From memory, it's 6% of installations is the figure that I think has been quoted, and yes, it would apply across the UK.
Okay, thanks for that.